Youssef Chermiti turns up with a hat trick after I sat here yesterday saying sell him, and now I'm the one staring at the telly like an idiot. Don Robertson then turns Ibrox into a pantomime with that yellow card for Andreas Skov Olsen, and even Keith Hackett is forced to say it. No foul, no dive, just a referee desperate to be the star. And while Chris Boyd laughs on Sky Sports about play until Celtic score, Chris Sutton storms in with the usual sneer, defending every second of added time like it's written in stone. Subscribe right now and help us hit 500 subscribers. No speeches, no fluff, just back the channel and let's get it done. Keith Jackson's confused, is he? Aye, join the queue. Because the minute Rangers put a marker down, the whole Scottish football commentariat starts wobbling like they've seen a ghost. 4-2 at Ibrox against Hearts, and instead of talking about the standard we demanded, they start acting like it's a mystery of the universe. Absolute shambles. Here's what happened, plain and simple. Hearts scored first. Mark Leonard, 16th minute, and you could feel the usual sneer warming up in the press box. Then, Rangers responded the way Rangers are supposed to respond. Pressure, pace, proper intent. That equalizer comes from their own man putting it in, Michael Steinwender, but don't let anybody pretend it was luck. Chermiti is involved in the move, Rangers force the error, and that's what happens when you actually attack with purpose. Then Hearts go ahead again. Claudio Braga, 30th minute. And that's the bit that used to kill us in recent years, isn't it? Heads down, panic, passengers hiding. Not this time. Youssef Chermiti drags us level before halftime, and suddenly the whole place remembers what it feels like to believe again. Second half, same story. Rangers don't beg for it, Rangers take it. Around the hour mark, Chermiti puts us in front, and then in the 90th minute, he completes the hat trick and puts the argument to bed. 3 goals, big game, big pressure, 3 points. Title race alive. That is the Rangers way when it's done properly. And now comes the nonsense. 8 million quid from Everton, and the media are acting like they've discovered fire. Is he a liability or a game changer? Keith Jackson says we're in a twilight zone. No, Keith. The twilight zone is pundits pretending football's complicated when they just don't want to admit Rangers have momentum. Let's be honest. The boys taking pelters, some of it fair, because Ibrox demands more than effort. It demands end product. Fans were even raging at Danny Roll for starting him after Motherwell. But the manager backed him, and the striker answered like a proper number 9. That's not confusion. That's selection, pressure, response. And then you've got Michael Stewart on BBC Sports Scene, still sniffing away like he can't stand giving Rangers credit. Hat trick in a top-of-the-table clash, and he still says Chermiti won't be a top striker. Touch unpredictable. All-round game slack. Aye, funny how the standards change depending on the color of the shirt. Here's the real dilemma they're talking about. If Chermiti's now the starter, what happens to Bojan Miovski? What happens to Ryan Naderi's minutes? Because Chermiti and Naderi linked up well, and suddenly competition at number 9 is real. And when Rangers have real competition, the rest of the league starts squealing. And while all the headlines are drooling over the hat trick, there's another name you should remember. Tour Ramans. Ali McCoist calling him exceptional. And you can trust Super Ally over any studio clown. 2.6 million, looks solid, defends properly, uses the ball, creates chances. That's a left back who understands the jersey. Which means Jayden Magoma, with all his assists, is now looking over his shoulder. That's football at Rangers. Earn it or you're out. So let them call it a twilight zone. Let them act baffled. Rangers win, Rangers close the gap, Rangers show fight, and the usual suspects can't cope with the idea we're coming. Don Robertson flashing a yellow at Andreas Skov Olsen. Honestly, you could not script it. Rangers are chasing a title, the stadium's boiling, and the referee decides his big moment is booking our winger for simulation inside the box. Skov Olsen gets inside the penalty area. He's already passed Islam Chesnikov. He has done the hard part. He's in a position where he should be making the final touch or cutting it back. And suddenly there's contact. Not some dramatic theatrical fling, just contact in a contact sport. And what does Don Robertson do? He does not take a breath. He does not let it run. He does not think, is that enough for a foul? Is it nothing? Do we need VAR to have a look? No. He reaches straight for the card like he's desperate to show everybody who's in charge. Absolute shambles. Even Keith Hackett, a former FIFA referee, comes out and says it plainly. This is not an act of simulation. Football is a contact sport. Not every touch is a foul, and not every fall is a dive. His view is the correct one. The best decision there is give nothing. No foul, no penalty, but also no yellow. Just play on. Because here's the point. The press and the pundits dodge. A yellow for simulation is not a harmless wee telling off. It brands the player. It shapes the next decision. It gives the referee an excuse later to ignore him. And it tells every defender in the league, go on then, clip him. The officials already decided he's a diver. That is how games get managed against Rangers. Quietly, nudge by nudge. Could it have been a penalty? Some will argue it. There was contact, and he had no reason to go down if he's clean through. But even if you do not give the penalty, booking him is the overreach. That's the referee making himself the headline. And the best part? Rangers did not crumble. Skov Olsen gets on with it. He helps create the moment for Chermiti to put us 3-2. That's the difference when you have players who do not hide. They get on with the job and let the football do the talking. So what are we meant to accept now? Rangers players get clipped in the box, and the punishment is a booking. For being fouled, or for being touched, or for daring to go past a man at Ibrox. Is that the standard we're living with in this league now? KRIS Boyd's sitting there on Sky, grinning like a man who's seen this film 100 times, because he has. And he says the quiet bit out loud. The board should just read play until Celtic score. That's not banter, that's lived experience. That's Scottish football in a nutshell. Disgraceful, here's the row. Kilmarnock have the lot of them rattled. 2-0 up at Rugby Park. The other lot are on the ropes, proper wobbling, crowd edgy, and then suddenly we get 7 minutes added on. 7. Neil McCann is fuming, asking where on earth that number comes from, saying they just make it up now. And you can hardly blame him. Managers and fans have eyes. They know when time is being found. Then Julian Araujo pops up in the 97th minute and sweeps in the winner. Third stoppage time winner in a week for them. Third. And you're meant to believe this is all just coincidence. Nothing to see here. Move along. Boyd does what Boyd does. He actually looks at the excuses they're using. 3 substitutions at halftime. And he nails it. That can't be added to the second half. So why are we padding time like it's optional? And then he drops the line that makes every Rangers man in the pub nod without even speaking. Just change the board. Play until Celtic score. Absolute masterstroke of honesty. Of course, right on cue, Chris Sutton comes flying in with the usual sneer, calling it whinging, calling it sour grapes, talking about stoppages for injuries, saying 7 minutes was light. Light. That's the party line, isn't it? If you question anything, you're jealous. If you point at the stopwatch, you're bitter. If Rangers say it, it's paranoia. If anybody else says it, it's context. And Boyd's not just having a laugh. He warns them straight. You can't keep depending on last-minute goals. You cannot keep leaving it to the dying seconds and expect it to carry you through a title run-in, because sooner or later you run out of time, or you run into a team that does not fold. Now look at the bigger picture. Same day, Rangers go and beat Hearts 4-2 at Ibrox, twice coming from behind, and suddenly the title race tightens up. Hearts wobble, Rangers close the gap, the other lot scrape another miracle with a clock that never seems to stop when they're chasing it. And next up for Rangers, Livingston away, then 2 massive games at Ibrox against them, League and Cup. 2 chances to do it properly. No late gift, no extra minutes folklore, just football, noise, and pressure. So here's the question. When that board goes up at Ibrox in those games, will it be the same rules for Rangers? Or will we be watching play until they score again? Before you go, hit subscribe and get us over 500. Rangers voices stick together. Don't just watch it, back it.